And
There we
everything
are.
in. So, did you tell Kristi that she has to sing a song, Mary? Or
Yeah. I was gonna wait. I was gonna spring that on her. That
all
that's
right,
the
okay,
way it
okay.
goes.
You never warn
Sing
people
or
in
dance.
advance, you don't.
Sing or dance. That's your choice. You decide.
Bit of both. We only do that after I need a drink first, Mary.
Happy hours. That's right. Only after happy hours do we sing and dance. That's true. I
It's
agree.
happy hour somewhere in the world, right? So
It's right.
6 p.m. here, so it's happy hour here. You know,
Definitely
in
happy
Ireland,
hour in
it's happy
Ireland.
hour every hour, as Mary knows when she was here.
Yes, it is. Very much so. It's my kind of place. That's for sure. Very much so.
Very good. Well, we're a little bit early today, but I just
No.
want to thank very much Mary and Kristi for joining us today. They're going to have a wonderful discussion on all things marketing. And then at the very end, when they're finished, I'll come in at the very end and say goodbye and do a little sum up. So thank you so much, guys. Looking forward to the conversation. See you on the other side. Bye for now.
Thank you, Ronan. Thanks so much. Awesome. And Ronan will let us know if there's any questions or anything. I'll try to open the chat right now. So yeah, and Diana, you're right. It is happy hour someplace. I totally agree. And I won't speak for Kristi, but I bet she agrees as well. It was funny, we were just talking. So Kristi is on the West Coast in the US and I'm on the East Coast. And there's a small group of us that try to do some happy hours. And it's always just, it's not even close to a happy hour for her most of the time. It's just flat out day drinking. She said, yeah. She's like, let's do a happy hour. She's like, yeah, but it's like 2 here. So it's just a really odd happy hour time. But that's okay. We still have had fun. And you are still staying in place in Long Beach, California. You're just still in place, right? With all
our state's on house arrest still. We have not been released into the public yet.
No. Cannot be trusted.
No.
Cannot be trusted. And Kristi is homeschooling her son, who made a guest appearance earlier. So homeschooling and running a lot and walking her dog a lot. She's one of those memes that the dog's like, again, another walk. I have a feeling, right? Is that how Vlad's feeling?
Yeah, Vlad's not happy. Vlad's got his beach body, though. He's in the best shape he's ever been in his life.
I love that. I love all the things out there because my dog and I were good. We're not doing an extra but we do like to watch people walk by. There are a lot of walkers happening in our neighborhood. Yeah, so we're going to do that. So, all right, well, let's get started. So you guys, if you don't know Kristi, then gosh, you need to. I've been a big fan of her work for a long time. I've, looking at it and seeing it in image competition, looking at it in magazines and everything. Kristi actually got her fellow. It's been over a year and a half ago now, I guess, right? It was
right. Yeah,
her fellowship, her ASP fellowship, which if you have time later, she's going to be doing a really nice conversation about the ASP fellowship later on today, right?
Right after this one.
Right after this, you could just go from webinar to webinar. This is really great. And yeah, but her work is beautiful. You guys are probably familiar, like I said. If not, look her up. It's stunning. Because Kristi, you come from, and I think a lot of photographers might or do, but you come from a photography and art background. You came into this business as an artist wanting to use your camera as a medium for what you do, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So with that being said, I think that a lot of people struggle with how to make that a marketable or a something for a consumer to buy. Like, how did you kind of come into opening your studio and doing this? Because I know you've done this for a while, but how do you garner and curate the right clients and message that to people? Because it's hard to do, you know what I mean? Especially today, I think.
Right. So when I started, I've been a photographer for 23 years and I used to do more celebrity editorial and then product for Z Gallery and commercial work, and all that stuff is not necessarily going to be in your style or in the style that I want to do for my fine art portraiture work. Mm-hmm. So when I switched over to wanting to do fine art portrait, I took my style of work that I like to create for the art galleries and museum work, and I just started applying that type of editing towards your average day consumer. And it's a niche, so I'm not for everybody. Probably scared the crap out of half the world. And then the other half is my client. Right.
Right.
So I don't know that my parents or my sister would hire me. There's a whole lot of, because they're more of like that bright and airy type of look. but there's a lot of people who like that old world romantic type style. So what I basically do is I create an old world type masterpiece portrait of you, and they're usually somewhat of a themed going on with them. So you become, you know, the big wow portrait in your house, and they're different. They're different than, like, I don't have any competition because you can't go down the street and be like, okay, well, these other 5 photographers, they're going to be charging this for this, because my work does not look anything like that. So if you want what I do, then you're going to pay what I'm asking, and it's not negotiable, because you can't say, okay, well, these guys are going to do this, can you do this? You know, it's
Right.
immediate, like, no, this is what my time and talent is worth for what I'm going to create.
And I love that so much, as you probably know. I love that so much. And I think that that's true with anybody. And then you do have a very distinct niche and style. I couldn't agree more. But, you know, I hope we all, if we, you know, listen to what she just said, like, anything you bring to the table is what your eye, the way you're going to pose, the way you see the light. Yours is obviously multi-steps, because now we're bringing in the artwork in the post. That's a big part. So you create the image,
Right.
and then the post is a big part of it. You know what, in a world that's full of so much noise, and it's so hard to break that pattern and get someone to stop and even pay attention. And whereas you, in my opinion, I'm like a total fangirl, and I'm like, well, you're famous, I always recognize your work. But how, in your community or in your market where you are marketing, how do you communicate to people that this is not just a filter? And I understand it's not, but how do you communicate the incredible process and levels and everything that you go through for your clients?
Okay, so for my clients, when they come in for the order session, or even when I'm talking about what I do for potential clients, or, you know, even just out and about when people ask me what I do or how I do it, is I tell them, when I take the portrait, it's the same as an artist drawing a sketch on the canvas before they create their final masterpiece. So this is our first step. So we're basically going to be looking at facial, our pose and our facial, to see what it is that we like, and anything can be changed, because I'm not creating an exact likeness of you. I'm creating a likeness of you in my vision. So you're commissioning me as an artist to create these pieces for you. So
Right.
Instead of just thinking of it as, oh, somebody's just going to can you take some quick photographs for me? You know, now they understand that we're entering a whole nother realm. And then their final portrait, it is going to be, you know, framed with a big Larson jewel frame and mounted on masonite with a palette knife texture. So from the way that I talk to them, they understand that it's not just going to be a quick picture taking process, but besides, even when they see the work, you know, and I tell them, you know, I have the different backgrounds I photographed throughout my world travels, and then I create composites of the different backgrounds before I create, put that on to create the composite, my final composite.
Right.
And I don't extract in Photoshop, I actually build onto it. So I do my composites different than other people do. And I just made this up along the way because I didn't want to have to extract. Right? I'm like, this takes too long.
I love stuff that happens because of that, because we're women, and women are like, wait a minute, this is too much. We're gonna make it easier.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. I had years and years of extracting products for product photography. I'm like, yeah, I'm done. We need to find a better way. So I found this easier way. I mean, even one of my favorite actions, my cat created it. Not this one, my old cat, he jumped on my computer and it pushed a bunch of buttons. It did something. And I was like, that's amazing. How do I?
Speaking of cats, cue the cat.
Like literally, cue the cat. Good job, Preston. High five.
He's creating actions as we speak.
You're going to drink at happy hour tonight. And
I love that.
I went through the history to see what it is the cat did, and saved that as an action. And it's one of my favorite actions that I use all the time, and that's because of the cat.
I love that. I love that. So do people normally come to you and say, I have a vision, or they just say, I want you to create? Do you, or does it maybe both? I mean, I don't know. You know, if if they're using an interior and they're like, I need something for the space, then you're going to design for the space. Or, I mean, how does that usually work for you?
So it goes all kinds of different ways. So usually people find out about me from a friend. So a lot of my work that I get now is from referrals, because I'm established now in this area. in the beginning, I had to do a lot more with marketing to try to get more of the clients.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry, where was I going for that? Sorry,
No. So we're talking about. I like what you said. So I was asking, is it a mix or a majority one way or the other that you're picking or they're picking, kind of the mood you're feeling?
So when they contact me, usually they like maybe, let's say Skylar's biking masterpiece portrait. Oh, I really love this style. Can you do something like this for my son? You know, I have one client who I will be working with when we're done with house arrest, and she's Polish, so she wants me to create, because I'm Scandinavian, so is Sky. So that's why I decided to do a Viking one for one of his masterpiece portraits. So she wants me to come up with something for Polish. So we're going to work together. You know, it'll be within my style, but we'll work with propping and the storytelling and everything. But I let them know that it's my vision of it, right? So you could tell me, you know, let's throw some random things at me that I wouldn't normally do, right? Like rainbows, unicorns, and pot of gold, right? And so whatever's in your head, right, for that is not going to be what's in my head. You know very well, 15 minutes into editing those 3 items, it's going dark. Right?
Yeah.
Like Dracula is riding that unicorn going down that rainbow.
Makes me laugh. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, so they have to know it's not Pandora's box, right?
Right.
So it's not, I'm not going to create what's in your head. You can give me these elements, and then you're commissioning me as an artist for my artistic vision to create the likeliness, you know, within that theme. And I make that very clear, because otherwise people are going to be sitting there and go, no, I don't like it. I need to do this and this. No, because I'm not living in your head.
Right. But so, okay,
sense.
but this brings up a really great point. And this is where I think a lot of us creatives, photographers in particular, struggle. How have you, and you said, I don't have to market like I used to when I first started out, because I work on mostly referrals now, which I totally understand. But when you were starting out, how did you not only establish yourself as the artist, that they're hiring you they're hiring you for what your vision of what they think they want is, kind of, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not sending it to them and they're not picking it apart, and you know what I mean? Like, it's really, they're hiring an artist just like you would hire any other artist to create a piece for you.
Right,
How do you do that? How do you do that and stay true to it, Kristi, and get the clients? Because I feel like this is a major disconnect in our industry, and I hope I'm not being really mean, but I feel like I'm being mean, but it's a major disconnect. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a huge disconnect. Like, that people are capable of even standing up and saying, no, this is my style. I'm going to stay true to it. And this is what I need to charge for it. But how do you do that? Like, I know it's a big question, but give us a little plan on how we could do better at that.
Mary, I have a honey badger personality.
Yep. This is true. So if you don't,
it's just having the confidence to believe in your work and what you do. You know, like there's one slide in my presentations that I always have that says, if everyone gets your work, you're not trying hard enough. Okay, everybody, you know, don't create just everything that you see that other people are doing. Create what you want to create. It's important, like, even if you think it's crazy or people aren't going to like it, good. You know, like I always say, love my work or hate it. Don't be indifferent to it. If you're indifferent to it, then I'm not being true to myself. I'm not creating what I want to create. Like, you should either love it or just literally hate it. You know, and I've had one guy at Image Comp, you know, with amazing social skills. He looked at one of my images and he goes, oh, this one, I really hate this image. And I'm like, that's amazing, thank you. Because to me, that was like a huge compliment. Like, you hated it that bad that you felt that you needed to come up to me, person I've never met in my life, and like tell me that, right? Like, right. I'm never gonna like have coffee or anything with that human ever. No. But but I thought that was a compliment for me. You know,
because they have an opinion.
Yeah, because it moved them. It either moves you in a positive way or moves you in the other way. Either way, you were moved. And that's the point of art. Art should move you. You should not be indifferent to it.
I agree. So when you were starting out, Kristi, like starting out, getting out of the industry you were in before, which I understand was photography, but how do you, That was little Dave Matthews break for everybody. It's my son. You have one, you get it. You don't call me between this and this. And every time that's when he's going to call. Oh, I thought that's when you wanted me to call, he would say. I digress. So when you were starting out, had you always known that this was going to be the style you were going to, or did it develop over time? Number one, that's the first question. Like, how did you land on this? And I'm sure it's grown over the years. I imagine it grows over the years, but did it come from art school? Did it just come from what you were attracted to in the art world, or where did that come from?
So when I was at Brooks Institute of Photography, I did mostly fine art. And then towards the end of last year, one of the other students, Bill, can't think of his last name right now, he goes, so what are you going to do to make money? And I'm like, well, I want to do fine art. He goes, you're not going to make a living at this. He goes, as good as you are coming out of school, just trying to go into art galleries. And that was kind of like a wake up call, right? So that's when I started doing advertising and illustrating photography. And even that work, I tended to like more of the low key type lighting, but that doesn't necessarily work for that. So when I had the Z Gallery account and I got to do like the candles and the room scenes, and for a lot of that stuff, I could do more like that low light, and that's what I definitely loved. And then when I started doing work just for art galleries and museums, that was it was only 1 year that I just did nothing but create work for art galleries when I was pregnant with Sky, and we had moved to Florida. So during that time, I started to develop more of a darker type style, because I could just do what I want because I'm just creating artwork. And so when I moved back to Long Beach and I decided I was going to create a fine art portrait, I wanted to create using that low key, darker type style, but with mainstream clients. So I kind of started it right away.
Okay.
So, I mean, because we live in Long Beach, so some of the first people I photographed for my website when I was creating it, were like neighbors, kids, stuff like that. And some of them were on the beach or dock and everything, so they weren't necessarily low key, but if I look back at the editing, I've been turning people into vampires for years.
I think that's hilarious. So, that's where it comes from. And I'm sure, and like you said, it develops, or I feel like all of our artwork develops over time. I mean, there's, you know what I mean? But you've what I've consistently seen from you has been very much that low key, that look, which I love. And I think there's a place for it. It's not going to maybe go in my beach house. I don't have a beach house, but I don't have a beach house. But if I did have a beach house, but it wouldn't go in my beach house, but I could see a great space for it. But how did you, when you first started out, so you got I heard you say clients, neighbors and friends or samples,
right?
Get a website. But how did you put it out there? Because I'm just going to guess that these are not inexpensive pieces of commissioned artwork. So how did you build that business?
Even in the beginning, it was more expensive.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so I kind of lucked out, and it was a big chance. So when I moved back here and I created a website, this was all within 2 weeks, right? Got enough people on the website, and Living Social had just started. That's like a Groupon type thing.
Yep.
They contacted me and wanted to do a promotion, and I was kind of weary of it. But what do you have to lose, right? You don't have any clients because you just moved here. So I'm basically like starting all over. So I said yes, and within the first 2 hours, it sold 264 Living Social vouchers. So I'm thinking, crap, I have 1 year to photograph all these people and a 2-year-old. And
yeah.
So I paused the deal and then just photographed, those people. But and my average sale from it was $3,000. So it ended up pretty good, for a start. That was 10, 11 years ago.
Yeah, probably. Well,
10 years ago. So that was really good. So that, I was within 2 weeks of the Living Social, I opened up a studio, went down to Calumet. Within 1 week, I did that whole thing. I think on Monday, I had opened it. Tuesday, went down, got everything, and then was shooting clients by like Thursday or Friday in the studio.
Wow.
So that actually helped propel this part of my business, this part of my career, I guess you would say.
Right.
And then from doing that, I had one client. So I wasn't doing a lot of composites for clients at that time, but it was still within more of my low-key style. And then the more I kept editing, the more refined my style got. And the more darker it got, and more detail in the darkness. I had this one client, Milan, and he was actually a he just retired professional Muay Thai fighter. He's 40, and he goes, you know, I'm afraid I'm going to be losing my body. And so I'm expecting this, like, you know, barely holding on to it, 40-year-old, you know, I'm going to have to paint in a lot of muscles to get him back to where he thinks his fighting day. You know, in walks this like perfectly sculptured Adonis looking man, and he goes, and can you put a white tiger in the background? I'm like, what?
Wow.
Because his fighting name was like White Tiger or something.
Okay.
So I'm like,
Okay.
yeah, sure. He goes, well, you don't have to have photographed it. You could get it from stock. I'm like, oh, okay, Milan. Yeah, whatever.
Did you bring a white tiger, Milan?
Yes, Milan. Is it coming up the stairs? Like,
That's funny.
but again, I wasn't going to extract the white tiger.
Yeah.
So then that's when I'm like, okay, I need to find a quicker way to do this. So that's how I started doing my composites. So it was all thank you to Milan.
Milan. And the cat. And your cat who helped you. We had a couple questions. I don't want to miss them. Hold on, let me make sure I didn't. Okay. So, okay, Amita Hensley asked, okay, so in this climate of COVID, how do you start marketing again? The basics. I'm just at a loss on how to start back in business.
Okay, so during house arrest, I've decided to do rebranding. So I hired a branding company, and so we did a new logo, and then I'm doing new website. They're working on a new website right now. And so this way, when I come out of house arrest, it's going to be like this. I can re-announce it to all my clients that I've done, you know, this whole new branding and change the way I'm doing everything. So I'm no longer going to offer anything below 16 by 20s, only 16 by 20s and larger, because of the amount of work that I put in my editing, it gets lost. Right. You know, so it's kind of a waste. So I'm telling them like, okay, so it needs to, we're going bigger, people, than we were before. So I'll be changing, like I was using MailChimp to send out blasts. So now I'm going to be changing the way I'm doing that. And so basically it's just changing and re-announcing everything when I come back out. But because I'm in California and our state might never get off house arrest, you know, I created another business that can make money while you sleep, right? Because I need to keep making money even though I'm on house arrest, because I can't do underwater photo shoots. I'm not allowed to photograph people, and I'm definitely not going to do that drive by and photograph people on the porch.
Right.
No problem for people who do that, but that would go against my branding and everything that I stand for personally, unless you're in Halloween costumes and it's at nighttime. It just wouldn't go with my work and everything.
Right.
And then like another thing that you could do is try to do something, you know, during the house arrest that you could use for publicity, that you could contact like your local, you know, newspaper or magazine about, you know, to try to like, oh, you know, I had this success, or, oh, I'm doing this, or, oh, I'm offering this to people. And I've had a lot of success in the past from publicizing in local papers. And even if I won awards or anything and put it in there, you know, Long Beach, you know, photography studio, you know, what, California Photographer of the Year, or PPA Diamond Photographer of the Year, you know, and then they go to your studio and they do, you know, they'll take pictures of you and your studio and your work, and then they put it in the local paper. And some of the times they never tell you, oh, you know, it's going in this week. Right. I'll have my neighbors when I go running, I run every day, and they'll be coming out all excited. Look at this, it's on a refrigerator, you know, so they get all excited about it. So I know that people are reading it and they're talking about it, and I do definitely get a lot of work from that.
So from PR, and that's free. I mean, it's the legwork to get it in there. But if you go and you get your PPA certification, or, you know, if you're doing something in your community for frontline heroes, for medical workers, I mean, any of those little stories that you can put out there and, you know, share, because some of us will never win Diamond Photographer of the Year, Kristi. So some of us have to dig a little deeper. So like, we just actually got a story picked up just because we were doing something for frontline heroes, just doing a drawing to give away gift cards to our frontline, you know, workers. And but that stuff, the news is desperate right now for anything happy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they want happiness to share. So that's one way. But I love what you said. I mean, she's worked in her business during this, and when California reopens, and not some of us are in other states that are already open or are opening, having almost a grand reopening and introducing a new product or brand or style or something,
Right.
or a new logo. I mean, it's just, that's all newsworthy. But you said that you're using a new system. Do you do a lot of emails? I mean, is an email campaign constantly running for your business?
No, I don't do a lot of a lot of email campaigns, but when I come out of this, when I start, when I launch my rebranding, then I will start doing more of it. Most of my clients, like I said, it is referral, but but I am going to need to start working a lot more when I get out of house arrest and make up for however long I'm going to be in here. Like I said, that's why I created this a whole nother business, and the other business, unfortunately, I can't talk about yet until everything is done. Which hopefully in a few weeks will be. But that business is such a major part of it is going to be based off of marketing.
That's great. Well, good. The other question that it said, hi, Kristi, Robert Bray here.
Hi, Robert.
How often do you commission for a family of 6? Would you have the same dark/artistic style with a large family?
Yes. So my style is the same no matter what. So if it's a family of 6, I'll usually have them dress up really nice. And I have for the women and the little girls, I have all the gowns and jewelry at the studio that photographs really well. And then I just tell the men what to wear. So it's not like a normal family portrait, like dressed in dressed in jeans and everybody's in white shirts. It's not. Right. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be, I like that whole Vanity Fair, the celebrity edition where you look at how everybody's posed and what they're wearing. So I kind of go with that type of idea for family portraits and the same posing. So I don't do traditional photography posing. I do more of that dramatic Vanity Fair. And then I will change the background in it. So I'll photograph them in studio on a hand painted dark gray background. And then I'll create my composite work, but it'll be like something subtle. It's not going to be, like you're in the middle of Scandinavia somewhere. It'll be like an old world painting type of look behind you.
Yeah, I love that. So Irene asked, I feel that marketing weddings and family portraits is a little bit easier, but marketing painterly fine art single pieces is a challenge, especially to the right and willing to pay for clientele. So how do you, and I think that that's something that a lot of people feel. And excuse me for, I'm just going to say it. They're like, well, you're Kristi Elias. Well, but yeah, you are, and you're incredibly talented. But you know what, if there's other photographers listening and they have a vision for fine art pieces, that doesn't mean that they can't be their own, whoever, in their area. Right. Like, it's not because you're Kristi Elias that you did this. Yes, you're talented, you're born with this talent, but don't you think that if you have a vision as an artist to create these pieces, you just have to work a little bit harder to hustle and get it out there and do it? Like, I don't know. I guess I feel like a lot of times we're like, well, I can't do that because I'm not her. You know what I mean? Do you ever hear, you know what I'm talking about? Like, I think we need to get over that stigma. And, so I think everybody can do that, but how do you do that?
Okay. So Irene, I know the Irene we're talking about. She's an incredible artist. So Irene, like what I would do, because you do like to do weddings and and babies and also the more traditional stuff, but for the fine art stuff, maybe just do a whole separate branding and marketing just for that, because I don't do the other anymore. I only do one, right? So it's like BB, right? Like William Branson. Yes. That's what William Branson does. He just does the William Branson style. So that's the same as me. I don't have. And there's a lot of my photography friends that they do different, they want to do more of the fine art, but they also do, weddings. Right. And, so I would just market the fine art piece as its own entity and title it something different, or title that, Irene Brower's, fine art, and then title the other one, give it a different name, and then just go after those clients. And for fine art, you do have to do it different, right? Like, you have to think a little bit outside of the box with marketing. I'll just give you have to find holes where you could fill the void and kind of sneak in there. So like Skylar 2 years ago, he started at a private school, and so private school, the people who go there are going to have more money or might have more money than the public schools. So I thought, okay, I have an idea. So they're having their fundraiser, and the receptionist, to go into the school, you have to pass by this receptionist every single day. And she's one of those chatty Cathy. She talks to literally every single person who goes in there. So I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? She has a redheaded daughter, right? We all love photographing redheaded people. I mean, it's a thing. And so I said, your daughter's really beautiful. Can I photograph her? For just going to do a fine art piece for her, and then I'll have that piece as the sample piece for the auction item that we'll sell at the at their annual fundraiser. So she said yes. So the daughter came over. I made her this really cool dress and everything, a very Mother Nature type theme, and then I framed it in this big gold frame, put it on an easel, and I would say it was probably a 24 by 30 was the final piece, and then I put it on the easel right by the reception area at the school, and it sat there for 1 month. Yeah. And next to it, I had, Kristi Sutton Elias photography, and then everybody who went by. So every single person in that entire school, you couldn't miss it. And she talked about it and the experience and what the photo shoot was like with every single person there. Okay, so that cost me, besides my time, just the frame, and I'd say maybe that was cost me $350. Right. And I probably photographed about 20 people from that. And you can guess, what my profit margin would have been crazy from that.
Right. And I imagine, so that's the things, the big points here are being in the right auctions or right fundraising groups, but putting someone in there that an employee of the, can talk about it. Of course, you could have put one of your beautiful portraits up there of even your own son. You could have put Sky's portrait up there and that would have been fine, but you put the receptionist's daughter up there. I mean, that's like printing money kind of, because of course she's going to talk about it and her experience and how amazing. That's what we have. That's the thinking outside of the box thing. A lot of times well, I donate to all the auctions. Yeah, but just mailing in a gift card.
No, that doesn't work.
Right?
Yeah, that's the other thing. So when I do donate to auctions, instead of just doing a gift card or a thing, I have these big framed portraits on easels, and then I'll have a kiosk, which is an iPad that has my website going, and then I'll have business cards, and then I usually stand there drinking a glass of wine or 3. You run out. And I have my own pen. Oh, it's in the other room. I even have my own pen, Kristi Sutton Elias pens. Anyone who's taken my workshops has seen them, may have even received them, right? And it even has a light on the end, and they're really cool. So I have those there, right? So people can use my pen, doing it, so, and then what they get is it's not a piece of paper in the end, and this is not one of them, but this is the size. It's an 11 by 14 mounted on styrene, right? That says what you won with a picture on there as well. Because this is annoying, okay? So you got to move this around on your desk. It doesn't fit in a drawer comfortably. You can't put it in the junk drawer, right? So you don't forget about this. So people end up using the that's what you give them. That's like the gifts. Oh my gosh, that's genius. Instead of the piece of paper.
Because it's too big.
It's annoying. It's super annoying. And so people call me and then they give it back to me. They're like, "Here, do you want this?" Because they don't want it anymore. I mean, it's been bothering them, ruining their lives.
That's genius, Kristi.
Because nobody was contacting me when they would get that little envelope. So then I'm like, I need to be annoying. So boom.
Yeah, because that won't fit anywhere. That's a really annoying size. I hate 11 by 14s anyway. So that was, guys, you could just hang up now. That was like worth the entire, that was a lot of good stuff, but that's so smart. I'm definitely doing that. Somebody asked, Celia, hey Celia, how are you? She asked, did you gift that portrait to the receptionist or a smaller version of it? Yes, she did. Oh my gosh, that's genius. How many of those would you give out at each auction? Robert's asking that. Do you just give one of those at each auction, or?
Okay, that's a good question. Okay, so when I started doing, stuff for auctions, I would just give out to the winner, right? But since I'm there, drinking and manning and watching, make sure you don't steal my pen. So then,
I don't have a pen. I need a pen.
So then when it would get close to the, I'll give you a pen. I will send you a pen. So then when it gets close to the end of the auction and, people stand there and they'll like try to write their name again. And then the other person goes and everything. So when I see that happening, I'll be like, you know what, why don't I see if they'll let us like do a matching bid, right?
I love
so
that.
You guys, stop at this. And so then that way I'll give out like 2. So usually 2, sometimes 3. It depends how many people are going back and forth on the bidding. I mean, I would
agree.
Maybe 3. I would say the last few have been 3.
Yeah.
And
as someone who's worked on a lot of auction committees and who had kids that went to small private schools or done things, like as someone who tries to run an auction or event, I mean, you get somebody like you who's there showing up and you're working the crowd. I mean, you being there alone, I mean, that's just great. You're connecting with the people and it's all about the connection. Me mailing in the gift card, okay, it's fine. But boy, when Jamie and or I show up at an event, like the response is always so much bigger because of course we're going to stand there and of course they're going to feel like a, jackhole if they don't like bid on it or something.
Right.
But they do get competitive and then you can give more. And now all of a sudden the auction coordinators are like, don't forget to call them next year. Maybe we're going to even promote it or do something different. I mean, when they get behind you and start talking about you, that helps even more, right? I mean, that makes it a bigger deal.
No, it definitely does. And then also for these charity events, because who doesn't like drinking and bidding? So I'm going around bidding on all kinds of stuff I don't need, right? As well, and then because you do leave your post a little bit, so then I'll go around and then you're joking and talking with other people and then you can bring them back to your post.
Yes, exactly. I love that. Do you have, when you think about auctions and stuff, Kristi, do you have a limit? Like you won't donate to certain ones because of like the entry fee? Do you gauge it that way? Or does what you donate depend on how, you know what I mean? High end the auction
is? It depends. I try to just go to high end auctions.
Yeah.
So we get invited to a lot of them because I bid on a lot of stuff. So I made this is the person one of the people you want to invite list.
Yeah.
So I only do the higher end ones for sure. And then Skylar's school auctions.
Right.
And even, when he moved to private school, I still did the auction for Naples, his other school, because that's also still, it's a high end crowd. This is living on the water group, right? So these guys, they can afford me and they have that more sophisticated type visual palette for the artwork.
Yeah, that makes sense. Diana asked, have you experienced the bidding on the app on your phone? Have you been to any of the auctions that they're using the app and has that made a difference?
I hate the app.
Yeah, I do too. That takes a lot away.
Yeah, it does. It takes the impulse, the spontaneous. I like the bidding war part,
I do
right?
too.
It just removed that. So even the auctions that I've been to had that. I didn't even end up bidding on things. So that's it just sucked the will to live out of the fun of it all.
Well, it takes the fun out of it. I mean, that's the whole point is that I paid to be, a lot of times we'll get tickets or I'll donate or pay to be there. And I want to be, it's kind of part of the fun of it, but
that's the fun of it.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. I'll be honest, like we usually have a big February, March, April auction season and all of them of course got canceled this year. And we'll see a little bit of a fallout from our business about that. I feel because those have been some of our bigger sales in the course of the year are probably people that come from these auctions. Mm-hmm. And, someone that sits on some of these charity boards, that's going to take a hit too. So have you done anything to make up for that? Or you just kind of like, okay, just ride it out and we'll reopen and regroup then? Like, you know what I mean?
What
have you missed any of the auctions this year that you normally would have participated in?
Yeah.
They were canceled.
Yeah. And I don't even know what mine went for in it.
Oh, right.
Because I honestly wasn't even going and participating.
They did it online. I got you. Right. Yeah. It's different. It'll be very different how that all plays out. We had our heart ball, and I think Diana's saying the same thing. We had to do that live this year, and that's usually a big fundraiser. And we usually will give 3 or 4 away. There'll be a bidding war, and it'll be live, and those are usually my biggest spenders of the year.
Right.
So it's an interesting year for all of us. But you also let me ask you this question, because you do have you have Sky in private school and maybe you belong to or participate in some groups or clubs or things. how do you handle friends, and I'm using that word, friends who want to use you? Do you have a policy, or do you just not work with people you know? Or
I have a policy.
I know what your policy is going to be. I know the answer, but share it with our friends.
Okay, so I charge my cousins, my friends.
That's what I knew your answer was going to be.
I am a business, and if you're taking my time away from making money from other clients, you're going to pay for that. And 2 of my cousins have hired me. Yep. And I think the only people I have to do stuff for free is my sister and my parents, and I think they're afraid to ask me.
That's nice. That's nice of you, Kristi, that you would give your mom something for free.
Because they put me through photo school.
That's sweet of you. That's so nice of you.
I know.
Guys, did you hear that? Even though Kristi is an artist, art trained and art, I mean, everything, you know, and I think of Kristi as being an artist. One of the things that I've gotten to really know Kristi, and really know Kristi. I've met her one time. We've had happy hours.
You know me.
I'll tell you all a secret in a minute. But, you know, she's an incredible business person, and she has no problem charging what you charge to your, you know, another mom at school, or someone that you may, I don't know, play tennis with or run with, or what you are what you are is what you is. You wouldn't ask them to not, you know, charge what they charge, right? If they're in whatever.
So the only thing I will do is I comp their sitting fee, but that's it.
That's awfully nice of you.
But thank you. See, I am nice, Mary.
See, she has a heart. So guys, super secret. Kristi, she spoke in Virginia this year for our convention, and we were able to get it in right before everything happened. And I go a year ago to call her, and I'm like, hey, you don't know me, but I'd love it if you would come to Virginia. And she's like, yeah, I'll come to Virginia. That's totally fine. And I was like, I was in a full sweat. So, it's so funny how we build up in our head that she's so incredibly famous, she's not going to have a clue, and ended up becoming like, fell in love with her just talking and then hanging out. And so a little bit of a lesson, like, I think a lot of times we get this rap that maybe we're too whatever. I don't even know how to put it, but do you ever have that when you travel and go, that people are almost afraid to talk to you because you are who you are?
Yeah, and I never understand it because for me, I'm just Kristi, right?
Right.
Mother of Skylar.
Yep, Skylar's mom. Yeah.
Driver of Skylar and cleaner up all Skylar stuff, right?
Yeah. So, it is funny.
Yeah, no, I've had people shaking and crying, right? And
that wasn't me. It wasn't me.
And I'm always like, are you okay? Like, are you sick? Like, what? And then they tell me,
I'm not going to hug you because that's not how I roll, but.
Well, I have had people ask to touch my hair.
Shut
Yeah,
up.
that was at this year's imaging. That was a first.
What did you say?
Yes, what are you supposed to say? I don't know what to do at that moment. Nobody prepped me for that moment in my life.
There's nothing. That did not come with the manual at all. That did not come with the manual.
My sister was there, so she took a video of it.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. Oh my gosh. So you also have your underwater photography. Is that like a separate, so when you kind of, maybe with your new, you know, on your website, when you're going in, is there 2 different kind of funnels or 2 different ways they can go kind of into your commission pieces or underwater, or do you consider them the same?
It's the same. So it's the same process for all of it. The only difference is one is underwater. So the sitting fee for one.
Thanks, Kristi. I think I got
I added water to the studio for one of them. And the other one, I took the water out.
Okay, I got it. Thanks.
Added to the air.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I get it. So it's the same. It's the same process.
It's the same process. And I have, my sitting fee is higher for underwater because I have to heat the pool to 90 to 95 degrees so that everybody's comfortable. But with the way I'm changing everything, I'm going to be raising my prices and getting rid of my sitting fee and just doing it that, you know, that everybody has to purchase kind of like a minimum.
Okay.
Right?
Like
so
a commission.
Like 4,600, right?
Yeah.
And then, so that would be what you would have to pay. And then it can go towards, you know, other portraits, like larger.
Okay. So when you create the art piece, do you only print it one time? Does that make sense? Are you just printing it as that wall installation, or can it also live if you want to give a copy to your mom? You know what I mean? Like, how does that work for you?
Yes. Yes. So they can, like if you wanted to order a 30 by 40, you know, you could also order, you know, a 16 by 20 of the same image, you know, to give to your mom if you want. Or to put in your beach house, Mary.
Right. Yeah. When I get a beach house, I'm going to definitely hit you up when I get a beach house. Yeah. So it's so the commission-based idea, which I really like. Honestly, I understand, because I'm one of those people. I'm like like a lot of the people that have made comments on here, that we still do some weddings and we still do, other things. But in the real world, like if I could boil it down, I would just focus. And as I get longer into this game, I could see us really narrowing down to more commissions and doing our paintings, either studio or environmental. But how do you know when it's okay to go there? Like, do you think so for example, a lot of us live maybe in smaller towns or different areas. How do you make that decision? And I know it's very personal, but any words of advice for people that are thinking about that?
About what? To go where?
So to not, I guess I'm not a very good interviewer because my questions are not very clear. So if you want to really kind of trim out all that other stuff, the babies, the weddings, and just do commissions, just do like your art piece, your commissioned art pieces, portraits.
Right. Well, I could see how it'd be like an intimidating step for a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
because maybe you make, a certain amount of money on weddings and the other stuff. And this is entering the unknown, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I took a chance. But with my personality, I am a risk taker. So I do like let's just jump in the black hole and see what happens. And so that's pretty much what I did. And like I said, you have to believe in your style and your vision, right? Yeah. And that it's different, and that it is a niche, and you will find people who are attracted to that, and they will pay for it. I have people who come from other countries to have me photograph them.
Right.
Because what I do is a niche, and then my underwater photography is another niche. And when I started doing underwater, because we bought a house with a pool, mm-hmm. and so I did a few sessions and had underwater on my website. And then Beyonce, she did her underwater maternity photo shoot, not with somebody else. And you remember that thing went like viral throughout the photography world. And well, everybody else in the world saw it. And so I had all kinds of calls from all states throughout California, all over the US, of people wanting to do underwater maternity because Beyonce did it. So that was probably I was like, I should probably send her like a thank you letter or something.
Thank you, Queen. Thank you, Queen Bey. Right. Thank you.
So because I had good SEO on my website and Beyonce did that, I had this huge flux of underwater maternity. And that's one of my highest paying clients, are underwater maternity, because it's such a niche. So you had a lot of young people who wanted to do it but couldn't afford it. But the ones who could afford it, they came in, and these guys, they paid a lot more than my studio clients. One week I had a $13,000 and an $18,000 sale from underwater maternity.
Underwater maternity. And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's it. You're not like, that's it. That's just from that one maternity session. 2 maternity sessions.
Right.
Good for you.
Right. And I have all the different gowns and jewelry, the same ones I use for in studio. I use them underwater, so they're all really flowy and everything. And so nobody has to come in, and bring their own stuff. So it's
right. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I'm going to ask you this question, but I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask you. Are you discounting because of the economic issues and everybody being out of work?
No.
I feel like I'd be rude if I didn't ask. Thank you, Suzanne. But no. And that's true. Guys, I think that you hopefully understand, and I'm not speaking for Kristi, well, I am, but she's not targeting people that are probably even super affected by this. And what I mean is, and even we've noticed this with our clients here just in Richmond, Virginia, but the client, they're still getting paychecks. They're still working, maybe from home, maybe telecommuting or whatever, but they're still being paid and working. So they still have money. If anything, they have more because their vacations have been canceled. You can only buy so much online. And God knows I've tried. I'm embarrassed. Like my neighbor actually made a comment the other day. Hey, I haven't seen the delivery men at your house today. And I'm like, well, that's none of your business, but thanks. But so I don't know what's going to show up. A llama could show up at my door, and I probably ordered it because I'm just, not shopping. So, do you feel like your clients, is it going to make that big of a difference? Like you're out of work, but.
No, because if you're thinking about, I'm not charging $30 for an 8x10, you know what I mean? I'm not even gonna do 8x10. So I'm charging $4,600 for a 16x20. That's your minimum. So what am I going to discount? Like $100? That doesn't matter when you're looking at that price point.
It
You know,
just
so it
depends
doesn't
on what your
make-
products are. Yeah.
Even if I take, like, say, okay, well, I'm going to discount it $2,000. Well, that just means that I devalued my work by $2,000. And that makes, at the price point of the clients I'm working with, that makes them think less of it, more of like,
Right.
what's wrong with it, right? So the
Right.
more expensive something is, the more attractive it becomes.
Yeah.
Versus if I price it too low. Think of a art piece at an art gallery, okay? So let's say you have a white painting with a blue dot, and that's it, okay? It's $25. Okay, well, there's something totally wrong with it. Same painting, right? $32,000. Oh, it's ingenious.
Yes.
It's the same thing. It's just how you chose to price it and market it. So a lot of the pricing that also falls under, you know, the marketing of how you want to be viewed.
Yeah,
You know,
and
so
the brand. I mean, your name and your vision is part of the brand, and people are paying to have you create it, not, you know, it's like a label. You know, you're going to pay more for the leather bag if it's got some certain name on it than not. I mean,
right.
you know, it's a lot of that. So I get that. I like that. That's good. What else was I going to ask you?
I was going to say one accidental marketing thing too. So this is my iPhone case, right? So that's Skylar as a Viking. So I always put, you know, a picture of Skylar on there, and I didn't even think of it as a marketing thing. And then you're always taking pictures with your iPhone, right? So everybody, you know, at any school event or anything, or when I take a picture of Sky and they see this, they're like, oh, what's that? Is that Skylar? Oh my God, that's amazing. It looks so cool. How'd you do that? And then I can start talking about my business. And then I have an app on my phone from Sticky Albums, which has my portfolio on it.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
I can start showing them, okay, so this is what I do, you know, and then just start going through. And then
do you just show them finished, or do you ever show the process, the journey of the creation? Do you ever share that? I would just, and I'm asking for me. Sorry, everybody else listening, but, you know, because there's so many steps in what we do. If you're taking an image and doing some retouching, and then I'm painting it, and then we're you know, brush oil painting it. There's a lot of steps. Do you ever share the journey so that people really see how much work goes into this?
So I've shown on my current website for under Masterpiece Portrait, like a picture of Sky as shot, and then like some of the elements that were taken to create the final image. But on my new website, it'll be like a fast forward video that'll show like the photo shoot with the picture taking, and then the editing, you know, so it'll quickly go from start to finished piece hanging in the client's house. So that way everybody can understand the process.
Right. Because it's hard to communicate. I mean, you can do that if you're standing there with your phone talking to somebody because they're talking to you. But a lot of times people find us and they don't, because photography is so all over the place and it's such a wide, you know what I mean? For everybody, for, you know, a couple $100 will come and photograph you and deliver digitals to us finishing and commissioning, you know, installations. There's a lot of misinformation, and I think breaking through that noise and being able to communicate it, I think that's a really great way for people to understand that we're not just taking snapshots and running filters and delivering them digitally. This is a process, an art process.
Yeah, and that's what I think is important about showing the process.
I love it. I love it.
Because people like, you know, like I have had clients in the past come in and they have a dress a certain color. Like, well, can you just make it this color? Like, for me, I find that annoying.
Yeah.
No, I'm just going to dress you in my clothes then.
Yeah, no, never mind. I'll dress you.
I've literally had people say, well, you know, there's like a filter. I mean, you can do it on Instagram where you can change the dress color. And I'm like clawing out
Oh my gosh. That's just not how I work. Well, I like it. And I love the fact that you are a business person as well as an artist. I love the fact that you stay very true to it. And I really appreciate the fact that you are so willing to share with us and share your time, because I know you've got a lot going on. Just homeschooling alone these days is a lot. But tell us how, if they want more Kristi Elias, where and how can they get more Kristi Elias? And don't be afraid and don't ask to touch her hair. It's weird.
Yeah, you can touch my hair. We will videotape you doing it, but you can.
Well, where can they find more of you, Kristi? Because the world needs more Kristi Elias, in my opinion.
So my website is kristielias.com. So KristiElias.com. And And then also I do online photography editing and business mentorship through Zoom now during house arrest. So you can email me at Kristi Elias 333@gmail.com. My work
Type
email.
that in.
My work
Let me
email.
type that in. Kristi Elias. I should know. 333
Right at
at Gmail. That's her email address if you guys want to talk about hiring her for mentoring or editing. Okay.
And then also I can give you guys my cell phone, which is 562-522-8069.
Oh, I put 8. Okay. If you want to text her, right? Or call her, yes, or call her. Awesome. Ronan, did I miss any questions? I think I got all of them.
Mary, I think you got every single one of them, but oh my God, that was just amazing. So let me just give you my summary.
Okay.
So Kristi is an amazing artist, amazing business person, amazing marketeer, an amazing salesperson. Because if you just even listen to the last 30 seconds, what did she do? She gave you multiple contact points to contact her.
Mm-hmm.
So many photographers don't even answer their phone. She's given her cell phone number out to potential clients out there. Absolutely amazing. We always talk about not everyone is your client, you know, and you've got to know your niche or your niche, depending on which part of the world you're in. I've never heard it explained so well. You know, if everyone gets your work, you're doing something wrong. Love that.
Yeah.
Then the little lesson I got was the language with your brand. So Kristi has a luxury brand. Just her talking about masterpiece portraits. What does that say to you? That says this is a luxury brand and I'm expensive. You better be ready for it. And then the final piece then was we talk about your clients becoming your marketing engine for you and doing your selling for you. And Kristi brought that to another level. It was so clever in the private school, getting the receptionists, her daughter painted. And she's going to talk about that all day long to everybody. Just ingenious. Absolutely loved it. Amazing.
Thank you.
She's awesome. I told you would love her. I'm glad you guys got to meet. And then Ronan, as usual, thank you for allowing us this time. And Kristi, thanks for taking the time. You guys can hop over. How can they find the next webinar? Is it on the ASP site or?
Yes, it's on the ASP site.
Okay. So American Society of Photographers. Is that right? Yep.
Yeah, and that starts in 1 hour.
In 1 hour, you can get more. Kristi, she's going to talk all about the fellowship process, which is amazing. ASP is a great assation that you can join.
And a lot of
all my rowdy friends.
Yep, all your friends are on there.
Yay. Well, I'll be there for sure. So you can check that out, American Society of Photographers. But Kristi, thank you so much. Thank you to Skylar for being good and just going to his room and being quiet for an hour.
Taking Vlad with him.
Taking Vlad. And Ronan, love you guys. Y'all are awesome. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Good night, good morning, good afternoon, depending where you are. Bye for now from the think tank.
Salon.
Yeah, and happy hour for you.
And happy hour.
Okay.
Cheers.